Okay, so welcome everyone to Smarter Business Processes Open Demonstration on Smarter Dashboards version 2, configuring your own dashboard with views and filters. So this is our topic for today. Just a little introduction at the beginning of this session, just to who Smarter Business Processes are. My name is Debbie, and I'm here to guide you through this demonstration. We have in the room with us today our CTO, James Harris, who has developed this solution, along with David Bauer, one of our consultants who is going to demonstrate the solution. Richard and Gwen Reimel, our CEO and our marketing director, are also here to help field your questions and comments and to help answer any questions as the day goes through. So just a bit of an introduction to us as a business. We have been helping clients to maximize on their Smartsheet investments since 2012. So we are experienced Smartsheet users and we love the product and we love to promote the product as much as we can. Just letting someone else into the room. More recently, we have joined and become Airtable partners too, so this dashboard could be used on either of those tools. We provide consulting services, training services, and API development services as part of our offerings to people. So from consulting perspective, if you have bought Smartsheet licenses and you want to build out your solutions, but you're not too sure where to start, we can offer guidance and help in getting the designs right and helping you build out your solutions. We offer a training service, so if you're not too sure where to start, but you want to do your own build, we can train you in the fundamentals of the programs to give you the skill set you need in order to build out your own services. Our API team allow us to take the back end of Smartsheet and go into the code and just program it to do the little bits of features that are missing or that you need Smartsheet to do, but it doesn't quite do it the way you want it to do it. So we have a whole team of API development specialists that allow us to write bespoke programs to just get that functionality that you really, really want. And lastly, we do offer a whole suite of what we call our smarter controls for sheets. These are apps that are purchasable on an annual subscription basis to fill in the gaps of functionality where clients have said, oh, I wish it could do this. And we've written an app for it to do this. For example, our drop-down list manager is an app that helps you control your drop-down list functions from a central source, which is that little gap that Smartsheet left there. We also have a whole host of other smarter controls. Our smarter dashboard fits into one of those. So let's have a think about why do we need smarter dashboards? So we do hear that Smartsheet, we do know that Smartsheet has its own dashboards and they are great. And we've been helping clients get the most out of Smartsheet dashboards, again, since 2012. But with the Smartsheet incumbent dashboards, if you have a solution that covers multiple reporting divisions, maybe multiple departments, functions, multiple teams, you might end up writing multiple dashboards in order to serve all of those different departments, teams, functions, their data. Every time you write a dashboard, you might need to save as new and then create a different dashboard for another function. And you end up in the back end with multiple dashboards and lots and lots and lots of reports just to feed the widgets in those separate dashboards, which is fine, but sometimes it gets a little bit too much to manage. Why do we need smarter dashboards? Well, you can already link to Power BI dashboards. So why do we need your smarter dashboards? Power BI dashboards are also great. And we understand from client feedback that very capable product and it provides excellent dashboards for you. However, we do hear that there's a high technical barrier to entry on Power BI. And enabling some features are quite tricky to do, such as the ability to edit data through the Power BI dashboard itself. Now, we are not Power BI experts, and we're not trying to convince anyone to move over to smarter dashboards from Power BI if you're happy with how your Power BI dashboards work. What we are here to do today is to offer or to showcase an alternative dashboard offering that has a low technical barrier to entry, and it provides users with the views and filters that negates the needs for many duplicate dashboards and reports behind the scenes to be created. And it does allow users to edit data directly from the dashboard, which is something that we've heard time and time again from our clients is something that they wish to be able to do. So this is why we're here, and this is why we're recording this demo. So within this demo, we're going to have a look at what a finished working example of a smarter dashboard could look like for you. We'll explain the pricing plan and how to get access to our free trial, demonstrate how to get started with that trial, and then show our development roadmap so that you can see what's coming. It's not a finished, completed product. It's a fluid product, and we're going to be enhancing it and adding features as they are requested from our clients. So that's what we're going to be doing. And I'm going to start off by inviting David to take over. Just let somebody in to take over from me to start off the demo of what the dashboards look like. So over to you, David.
Thank you very much, Debbie, and hello to everybody here today. I'll just do a screen share. I'll grab that from you, and we can show you what the Smarter Dashboards is looking like. Right, here we are. So what we have here is our Smarter Dashboard version 2, and we're looking at our demo dashboard, and it's based on a timesheet system. So effectively, we've got lots of different employees putting lots of data in, hours against different projects, different tasks, that kind of thing. So basically, lots of different data points that you might easily understand. You might want to focus on each of those data points inside of a dashboard. Okay, now underneath all of this, of course, is the raw data, and this is coming in from a Smartsheet sheet in the background. So all of the data points are being entered into this sheet, and we've just connected that to our Smarter Dashboard to allow us to analyze that data. Okay, so one of the key points of Smarter Dashboard is that we have this idea of having multiple views. Now, a view in our environment here is effectively just a screen. It's a screen of a set of widgets, and we can have different views. So we could go from this view to the task view, for example, and it's just a different screen with just a different presentation. We've got different metrics on there and different charts. So that could be for different purposes or different groups of people. One of the other key points behind the Smarter Dashboard, and Debbie touched on this just a moment ago, is about the ability to filter. Now, what we're talking about here is real-time dynamic filtering. So rather than having to create a whole new dashboard to get a different focus, what we have here is this fully configurable selection of dynamic filters. And you can see here, if I go to the employees one, I can see all of the people that are in the employees column in that underlying sheet, and I can choose one. And what will happen then once I've chosen that person, just refresh that, is we'll see that all of those charts are now changing dynamically to match that selection. And we can see now what we're looking at is all of Diane Smith's particular data within those charts. And we can also do multiple filters as well. So we can have one filter running, and then we can add to that as well. And we can see that we're now looking at a sort of a dual filter. So we're really nailing down, focusing onto that very specific set of data. So what we're seeing now is just Diane's data for project 25. And you can see all those charts are now just reflecting that piece of information. And we've got other filters as well. We can set up date filters, and we can basically filter on any column. And we'll have a look at how we configure that in just a moment. I'll just come back up to the top level. So you can see when this is refreshed, we've got lots of different chart types, as you'd expect to see. So we've got multiple bar charts here. We've got pie charts and donuts and things. And we've also got a nice data table as well. So we're basically pulling in data and putting it directly into a data sheet, if you like, within here. And we can configure that how we want to see it. So we can choose the specific columns that we would like to choose, that we'd like to show on there. One of the other features that we really like to show you here is that we've actually got inline editing. So simply by choosing this option here, we can click on that number. And if I go into that and just change that to maybe a 3, change that to 3 hours rather than 2 hours, I can save that. And what you'll see is that data will come straight back into the underlying Smartsheet sheet. Or maybe just do a quick refresh on that screen there. In fact, that was the refresh button just coming up there as I hit the button. And when that's come back on the screen, what we'll see now is that data, hopefully, there it is now reflecting that change that I've just made within the dashboard. So you can see how fast and responsive that is just by making a change there, and it's within seconds, it's back into the underlying data set. Got some other features here within these charts. If you see this little button at the top right, we can actually expand on a chart so we can get a better view of the data there. And we can even sort of dynamically filter, or who's actually going to be included within that chart display. So we can include and exclude people as we need to. Okay, so one of the other things that we can do, we can configure the widgets so that we can click through them into each of these individual elements within the chart. So for this chart, this donut chart, we can actually click on a segment. Now what that will do, it will filter this view to show just the data pertinent to Dan Jones. If I click on that, it's a bit like when we chose Diane a moment ago. It's basically set that filter to just that individual. So it's quite an intuitive way of navigating around the screen. So that's filtering on the same view. The other feature that we can do on here is if we can configure those those widgets in the background. So if I click on someone here, so we'll choose Dan again. Why not? We can click Dan. But in this case, what we're doing, we're going through to a different view entirely, but we're going to maintain that filter as we go through. So just by clicking on that, we can focus very specifically on data pertaining to Dan, but it might be better to see a different set of charts while we do that. So we can do that just by linking through to a different view and running the filter to that at the same time. Okay, so that's a lot of the functionality behind the dashboard. What we'll do now is have a quick look under the hood and see if we can, I'll show you how we actually go to set these things up. So as an administrator of this dashboard, I have access to this button and this button bar on the top right where I can edit the dashboard. So I'll click through to that. And this is effectively putting me into admin mode. Now, what you'll see when we're in here is I get access to some different buttons along the top, and we can see we've actually got some control buttons for each of those widgets as well. So what we'll have a look at first is the underlying settings for the whole view itself. So if we go to the settings button on the top here and choose view settings, and what we'll see now is the settings for this view. So this is really how we connect the Smarter dashboard to our underlying data set. So what we need to do is identify a sheet ID. Now that ID we can copy and paste in from the Smartsheet sheet, or if we'd like to, we can actually click on this little browse button here, this folder, and that will show us our Smartsheet environment, and we can actually choose a source sheet that way instead. Once we've selected or entered our ID, we're presented here with the name of the sheet. That's a good confirmation cue, really, to show us that we've got the right sheet. And we can make some changes to the view as well. So we can change the view name. And this is the text that will appear in the menu on the left-hand side. We can change the logo as well. We can give it a source to an online logo, and that will be presented on the top left corner here for this view. We can also filter the view based on the current viewer, the current user. So if we set that to yes, what would be given now is a list of all of those contact list data types within the underlying sheet. In this case, we've got an email address, but that could be an assigned to or similar. And that means that if we set that to be the filter for that view, it means I will only see the data that I have been assigned to. So that's quite a useful way of getting very dynamic filters based on the current user. So down the bottom here, we've got the section for where we configure our actual filters for our view. These are obviously these filters that we saw over here on the left-hand side. So if we want to add a new filter, what we do is click on the Select New Filter drop-down, and we're presented with a list of every column within the underlying data set. So let's say we wanted to add task, for example. So we'll choose the task column and click Add Filter. Okay, now you can see tasks now appeared in the filter list, and we can even change its position as well. So we'll probably put that underneath project. Once everything's where we want it to be, we just click the update button. And as that's saving, what we'll see come up here on our set of filters, we'll hopefully see our new filter in place. And there it is. That's our tasks filter that we've just added to that, to the set of filters there. Now, normal operation, what we would do is hit the save button, and that would make sure that those changes are committed, so that all of the users of the dashboard would then receive those updates for their carrying on with their own use of the dashboard system.
David, while that's coming through, I do have a question here. Do users
Sure.
need to be shared to the data source in order to see or edit the data through the dashboard?
No, not at all. And that's one of the real key benefits here, I think, is that the administrator or the creator of the dashboard provides their own token, so that's effectively their credentials. And that's really the only person that needs to be authenticated to the underlying data set. So it's because they've presented the data in that way, they can decide who gets to see the data within their own version of that dashboard. So yeah, we don't have those limitations where everybody has to be shared to individual sheets. Okay, so we're back alive now. Apologies for that delay there. What we'll do, we'll go back to the admin mode, and I'll just show you some of the other edits that we can make in the other configurations. So if we have a look at, well, we can look at the widget themselves. We can actually move these around the screen with drag and drop. And we can resize them as well, just by clicking on that little resize button. So we can really put things exactly where we want them to be. And then for each widget, if we have a look at this one, for example, we can edit the data or the settings behind that. So we click on the edit widget button here. And that will give us a configuration screen, a bit like we saw with the view a moment ago. And in a similar style, we've got the ID of the source for this widget. Now, the default value for this will be the same as the parent view. So when you create a new widget in a view, it gives you that view, sorry, the view's ID, the data source ID automatically. That said, you don't have to choose that. You can put in an alternative ID here and actually pull a different data set in for this particular widget. And you can even maintain filtering between the two sheets, between the view and the widget as well, even though they are across different sheets, just by mapping the key columns between them. So we've got a list of widget types here, and of course this is a donut chart, but there's all sorts of different things that we can choose there for the type. We can change the title. We can, for this particular type of chart, the grouping refers to the segment. What does each segment represent? And in this case, we're choosing employee. We can even filter that so that we can actually include or exclude certain people in this context or certain values from that display, just by choosing them from this set of this list of values here, or we can just leave that set to all options. Now, the value that we're going to be analyzing in this particular chart is we want the number of tasks allocated to each employee. So the value, we're going to be looking at the task column, but we're going to set the value operation to a unique count. So we just want to know how many unique tasks are assigned to that individual. We can do a few formatting things as well. We can hide the chart key and labels, and we can change the label font size as well. And also with a donut like this, or some of the pie charts as well, of course, we might want to present the data rather than having numerical values, we might want to have percentage values. So of course we can do that here by setting that to yes. We can add prefixes or suffixes to the labels as well. So you might want to add some information like, a currency type or, a brief description to enhance those values. And we can set the number formats as well. So we can round to whole numbers here, integers, or we can set to number, 2 decimal places. We had a look earlier on about the click-through action, and this is where you define that within the widget click action section. And this one is set to filter the current view. Now, there are a number of options here. You can do nothing. You might want to disable that function for this chart. There's the one for the current view, but you can also set it to filter for an alternative view as well. So what that will do, like we saw earlier, is it will take you to that secondary view and preload that filter for you. We can also change the color set for the chart. Now, the default color set that we can see in the background here is this rather nice pastel rainbow effect, but you might want to set different colors for that. So you just set this value here to custom, and that will enable you to set different color, or you can choose different colors for each individual person in that chart. Okay, so then obviously when that's all done, we'd hit the update button and everything gets saved. Okay, so that's I think that's about all we've got for the actual demo of the product. So I'll pass you back now to Debbie, and thank you very much.
Actually, I do have a question from the floor. So when you demonstrated changing the hours and the table,
Yes.
and it updated the underlying sheet, when the updates are made on the dashboard, does that mean the update appears as being done by the admin with the Smartsheet history, since it's their token that the API is being used, or does it say published user? So what's the user stamp on the person that made the update?
Excellent question. Yes. So what we'll do now, we'll go to the underlying data cell. This is obviously where that data came back to. We'll just have a look at the view history. And in this context, that would be the owner of the token. So that would be the token owner would appear in that history there, rather than the individual.
It's just hello, this is James here. It's you can, if you have access to that sheet as your logged in user, we can absolutely set it so that it will write to that sheet as that user. Of course, you might not have access to that sheet at all. The admin may have set up the dashboard and they're not giving you access to the underlying Smartsheet, but you can still edit that sheet through the Smart dashboard, and under those circumstances it will show up as the admin's user having made the change, because obviously you don't have the underlying access via Smartsheet itself. So it does depend, but the change can always be made as if it is by the owner of the dashboard, if you don't have the access yourself.
Excellent, thank you, David and James. And you have answered yourself as well within the chat window, and that's a really good point. If you provide an access token for a generic user, i.e. a licensed Smartsheet user that's been set up in order to work with API code, so it's not a real person, it's just a license dedicated to apps, then any updates that have been made through the app would come up as that admin token rather than a person token as well, as an alternative. So, you know, that is another way of deciphering real updates rather than updates through the dashboard. So hopefully that does answer your question. We've had another question before we move on. So we've been asked, how does this get deployed logically? Is it a separate desktop app for each user, or is it a bolt-on to the desktop? Does it reside in the cloud somehow? So yeah, how do we access these dashboards?
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, what we've got here is a dedicated server, our own web address. You can see up here, smarterdashboards.net. And that's the home, so it is cloud-based. So that's where the system resides. And once you've authenticated, of course, to that system, and at the moment that would be with your Smartsheet user account, your Smartsheet account, then you would see your own dashboard set within that cloud system.
The comment from that answer is, so we can see the SBP assets within the Smarter App Browse capabilities.
You can see when you are changing view, or yes, you can see the assets for your user. Those assets that you saw when David pressed the folder button were the assets for his logged in user. He's logged into Smartsheet in order to get to this dashboard, and it's those assets that you can see. You can't see anyone else's assets.
Okay, another great question just come in. Does any of our data reside on your servers, or do you just host the dashboard config, but the dashboard data itself is real-time call that is not saved in your server?
Yeah, that's we don't save the dashboard. We don't copy the dashboard to our the data to our server. We source it directly from Smartsheet. There is one caveat to that, which is when David changed the hours on with the inline editing there, obviously our server needs to bring that data in and send it to Smartsheet. So that call to Smartsheet to send that data does get saved on our server, encrypted on our server, and our default position is to remove that after 30 days. I mean, what it is, it's just that one data point, that 3 there, and the name of the column it's going back to. need to be saved need to be known by our server in order to actually, update the data. And those are deleted after 30 days by default. And they're only kept for 30 days just in case there's ever an issue and someone wants to come back and say, why didn't this happen, or why was this update made, etc.
Okay, thank you for that. So I think at this point we were just going to pass to you, James, as well to talk about the pricing.
Okay, I will take the screen. Okay, what you should be seeing now is the smarterbusinessprocesses.com website. So if I hover over the smarter apps here, you can see all our list of apps, full suite of apps there, of which Smart Dashboards is here under the premium apps. So if I click on that, it will take you to the Smarter Dashboards page, and from here we can see the pricing. Just click there, it opens up in a new window. By default, it shows dollars. We can also show it in pounds or euros. This is the pricing for the 3 tiers that we offer for the Smarter Dashboards. Now, if you require a fairly small dashboard with 2 or 3 data sources, maybe, or even 1 data source and just a couple of views, you're sitting here in the standard bracket here. Particularly, the only other thing is, if you're in this standard bracket, you can't edit data. Your users can't edit data inline. So that's the one of the stipulations there. But if most people, I imagine most people probably sit in the premium bracket here. You can have up to 8 views. Up to 10 views with up to 8 data sources. Your users can edit inline, and you have a fairly large number of rows per data source. And that's probably where most people live. And of course, if you're a sort of a power user, as they call them, and you want lots and lots of views, and you want a large number of users, you go for the enterprise package. Also, if you needed like bespoke functionality that you need to come to us, if there's something really particular that you need, we can develop it for you. Under those circumstances, you can see down here bespoke forms and bespoke functionality. If you want something particular, we can absolutely do that. So in terms of pricing, that's available now on smarterdashboards.net/plan details.
We've had a question on pricing here. So what happens if we have premium, but a data source has more than 3,000 rows? Does it just truncate on the dashboard?
So currently, what it's doing, this is something that's under discussion actually at our end. Currently, what it's doing is it's allowing you to do that, but we're going to notify you that really you ought to move up to the next plan. Whether we truncate or not, we may decide. We will obviously, if we do change our process on that, we'll obviously let you know. But we may end up truncating the data to 3,000 rows, for example, and informing you, in the dashboard that that it's taking the top 3,000 rows of your data source. But currently, at the moment, we monitor it, but we don't actually truncate at the moment.
Lovely, thank you, James. There are no other questions coming in at the moment on the plans. So how do people start a free trial of this app?
Okay, so let me move to going to smarterdashboards.net. You can see here, you can log in via Smartsheet US or Smartsheet EU at the moment. You'll see when I show you the roadmap shortly that will also soon include a Google login, but we'll come to that. So currently, if I log in at Smartsheet US, it asks you to authenticate. So this is where the Smarter Dashboard knows who you are as a Smartsheet user and can access your Smartsheet assets when you're building views and stuff like that. So down here, you'll see you can start a free trial. You have a 14-day, no obligation trial. So if I click on create new dashboard here, we can supply a name. Let me just put that in. So let's just use demo test. You have to supply a token so that if you're a dashboard creator, you need to supply a Smartsheet token so it can access your data. You can get that from Smartsheet, and then put your company name in. Then there's the terms and conditions. If I were to click on this, it opens up in a new window. As long as you're happy with the terms, you agree to the terms, then click the dashboard. So what it's doing what it's doing in the background there is, well, it's doing quite a lot of things in the background. It's creating the dashboard. It's creating some Smartsheets in the background as well. So it's talking to Smartsheet, making sure that the user has all the correct access that it needs. And I'm filling here because it does take about 30 seconds to do. But once it's done, it will open up your blank dashboard. Basically, it will create you a blank dashboard, and there it goes. It's about to do that now, and it takes you straight to the view settings. So as David showed, so if I open that up, because I'm logged into Smartsheet, it knows it's got my Smartsheet assets there. If I can filter to go and find the timesheet data, let's find that there. And you've seen this before, David showed you this. Let me just very briefly set up a couple of filters here. Employee and project and update. Update. And there you go, they appear there on the left-hand side. And then you can add widgets. So very briefly, just add a quick widget. I would choose a chart. Group by employee, and look at the employee hours, total sum of employee hours. I can change the font size. Let me put a suffix for hours after each label. That's fine. That'll do. Save that, and that will create you a that's much equipment. That's fine. Yeah. So there you can resize that and etc. I won't save that.
Perfect, thank you. And James, if you just bump back to that home page, can you just point out that there is a getting started video on that homepage? So if you do sign up for a license, a free trial, sorry, if you sign up for a free trial, there is a getting started video there that will guide you through everything that James and David have demonstrated.
Just another thing to just mention, I mentioned the roadmap earlier. You can do authentication via Google. That's one thing that we're going to do. We're also going to, later in the year, we're going to allow you to use SQL as a data source, so so that you can surface all your SQL data directly. Other things we're going to do, for example, with dashboards are going to be able to run from reports very soon. Various things like that, and under other items that are due for fairly imminently there's another couple of, we actually don't have a line type chart, which is we obviously need, so that's going to come very soon. Conditional row colors in tables, which is what this is showing here, is as you can see, it's in progress. Well, I'm using it there. That will come in May. And things like that. So there's various things like adding filter presets, for example, which what that means is where you can have a separate drop down here where you can preset some filters, which, for example, it presets to show just the rest of this quarter, and that's obviously, as you can see, that's already working, but it's in test at the moment, or in progress. In fact, it's still. So there's various things on our roadmap coming up, and if I just show you very briefly our one thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to allow you to obviously suggest a feature. So if you just go to there and suggest a feature, give us some information about what it is that you'd like to see. We will, I mean, as long as it's feasible, of course, we will add it to our product roadmap, and we will let you know when it's due to be part of the product.
Excellent, thank you, James. We've got some lovely comments coming on through the chat window, which is lovely to see. So I did have another question, if I may. Is it possible to share a smarter dashboard with somebody that doesn't have any login to Smartsheet at all? So, you know, maybe an external client or a contractor that might need to see the data. So in Smartsheet, you can publish your dashboards. Is there any way of giving access to non-Smartsheet users?
Yes, there are a couple of ways. So obviously under normal circumstances, you know, when you have a Smartsheet dashboard or whatever, and you want to people to have access to it, they need to have at least a free collaborator Smartsheet license. That's under normal circumstances, currently also the case for smarter dashboards. As you saw on the roadmap, one thing is that next month you can authenticate via Google, which means if you don't have a Smartsheet license at all or account at all, you can log in via Google. Now, as long as the dashboard is set up, the admin has said, I want this user to be able to see the dashboard and give the email address, then you'll be able to see that dashboard and you'll be able to edit the dashboard as well. And as I was saying before, those edits will just be made as if they were made by the dashboard owner in Smartsheet. So, but there's another way, which I think was the premise of the question, is can we publish a smarter dashboard? And essentially you can. We haven't put it in the admin function because it's quite dangerous if you don't mean to do it, but you do it. So it's not one of the functions you can do yourself as an admin, but effectively we can disable authentication on your dashboard if we want. And so anyone with the URL will be able to access it and they won't need to log in, they'll just be able to see it. Because that's it, in case people do that when they don't mean to, we don't have that as an option. But if you ask us at any point if you want to publish a smarter dashboard, then you can do so. We can do that for you.
That's excellent. Thank you so much, James.
I can just see a question come through just while you're doing that, Deb. Yeah, absolutely. In exactly the same way, you can, if you did disable authentication so that it's effectively, it's a published dashboard. Yes, definitely. You can just simply turn off one of the options in the table settings, which we haven't shown that, but it's one of the options is whether a column is editable or not. And you just make sure that no columns are editable, and then it is a read-only dashboard.
That's lovely. Thank you so much to everyone that has joined today. Hopefully from that you've seen a working example of the dashboard. We've explained the pricing plan and how to access it. I've just popped into the chat window our URL for the Smarter Dashboards web page, and from that web page James showed you can get to the pricing or you can get to the free trial. We'd love to see that you're coming on to a free trial and having a look for yourselves. Do reach out to us if you would like support via either the little menu that James showed on the vertical dots in the top right corner, or just reach out to us on email, and we'll gladly help you through setting it up and early stage of smarter dashboards. So many thanks to James and David for demonstrating this fabulous tool, and many thanks to all of you for joining with us today to give us an opportunity to share it to you.